You're recording?
Yes.
Both here and here? Okay, good.
Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Ruthie Erez. I live in Fort Worth, originally from Israel.
Can you also share something about your background?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Israel. Spent a few years in the United States when I was in high school with my parents. Spent a few more years here with my kids, and then went back to Israel for 12 years, and now I'm here again. I was in the high-tech industry for many years. Then I left and I became a high school teacher, high school math teacher. Should I look at you? Okay. And this is the start of my third career as a documentary filmmaker.
Wow.
Yeah.
Looks like a lot of degrees that you made.
Yeah.
So, what was your childhood like, and were you always adventurous?
Not specifically, I wouldn't say so. I mean, I did like to do, like when we did the school trips, and you could jump from a high place into a pool or something. I would always like to do that, but I wasn't specifically, doing any sports or anything like that, or any special hikes as a kid. No.
Okay. So, do you have any hobbies?
Any what?
Any hobby?
Hobbies? So yeah, I guess I have a few. But the one I wanted to talk about is when I did do some pretty challenging hikes. I guess it was after I met my husband and we started going places together. But when I turned 40, I was at another friend's 40th birthday party, and someone was doing poise there. Do you know what poise are? Next time I'll bring them and you can see. Those are like two little balls that have threads, and you kind of like do tricks with them. And I was fascinated by that. And I went home and I was like, okay, I have to learn how to do it. And at the time my youngest child was maybe 2 years old, and I had some issues with my shoulder, inflammations and stuff, and I felt like, I'm turning 40 and I'm probably not going to be able to do anything anymore. So I looked and I found a private teacher and I started doing the poise, and I really loved it. And when I celebrated my 40th birthday party, I actually gave a little gig to everybody in the dark, and the poise were with lights, so it was very nice. And shortly thereafter, we moved to Texas because of my husband's job with all our four of our kids. And I decided I want to pursue some other circus things. And I found a circus teacher. I think she still lives in Dallas. She's French. She was born in the circus. Both her parents live in the circus. She was a trapeze artist. And I started going to classes with her. There was a group, three of us, and I started doing the silk, which is, the French call it tissu. Here they call it aerial silk, which is like a very long piece of fabric hanging from the ceiling, and you climb and you do different tricks. And I started doing that, and I really liked it. So soon after, I made sure I had one in my garage as well, and I played around with my kids with it. It wasn't very high because the garage was low, but we still had fun. And one of the funny stories is when I lived here in Texas, one day my teacher, Fanny, she called me and she said, look, there's a big birthday party in Dallas, a very rich family. And the theme is circus. And they brought an elephant and clowns and everything to the huge backyard. And she was supposed to give a gig there, but she was sick. She asked me if I could replace her. So I ended up hanging from a tree in a backyard of a rich family in Dallas, which is very funny. I never expected myself to be in this situation. Later on, I was introduced to hammock yoga, which is a little similar but also different. It's also fabric, but the fabric is lower. It's kind of like a hammock that you do different tricks on. And I took my sister with me to some classes when she came to visit me, and she ended up being a teacher of a yoga hammock. So now wherever I go, wherever I live, I have a yoga hammock with me. I have a rig with the tisu. So back in Israel, I have a huge rig in my backyard with a very high tisu. Here, I have a very short one. Hopefully we'll be able to set one here outside and play with it. So wherever I go now, whenever I have a chance to climb something or to hang upside down, I always enjoy doing it. For my 60th birthday, my kids bought me a trapeze lesson, and I was actually able to do, like, to swing the trapeze, to hang for my hands, to hang for my legs, and I really enjoyed that. And so yeah, I would say I was pretty adventurous. I'm not sure what will happen in the future, you know.
So you just have mentioned that it wasn't that much easiest thing to do, but have you ever experienced any sort of, do you have any scariest experience? I mean,
Any what experience?
scariest experience if you ever hurt yourself doing all these things?
No, doing these things, I was lucky enough not to hurt myself. My dad is the one that made me promise him that I will always have a mat underneath, so if I do fall down, I won't be hurt, and I really always have a mat underneath. So no, I was pretty lucky. Always there are inflammations in the, I don't know, elbow, but these things come and go, and so.
It looks very, interesting hobby, and also looks adventurous too. So what drives you to keep seeking new experiences?
I think this specific one, when you turn 40, at least when I turned 40, growing up, you think that 40 is already like an old man. And so when I got to be 40, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm 40 and that's it, I'm almost done. And so I had the feeling to prove to myself that I was still able to do things, specifically physically, that I'm physically fit. Many people, when they turn 40, they start doing marathons, triathlons, stuff like that. For me, it was the circus things, and I was really happy to prove to myself that I was still able to learn new things, to challenge myself, to maybe to do things that I wasn't able to do when I was younger. So I think it's still like that today.
So you just mentioned that you visit a lot of places with your husband. Which place you like most?
So yeah, I guess my husband taught me the hobby of trekking, and we do a lot of trekking, and I love it. I can't say which one I love most. I've been to the Himalayas more than once. They're one of the closest places to God that I've ever been in. I've been to some very nice places in Europe. The most challenging one was probably one that's called GR20, which is the island of Corsica. When you cross it from south to north or from north to south. It's a pretty challenging trek, and you only sleep in a tent. Except for 1 or 2 nights, you get motels, but otherwise you sleep in a tent. And it was also gorgeous, some gorgeous views. And also, this is also part of like proving to myself that I'm still able to do physical stuff, and hopefully here I'm proving to myself that I'm still able to do mental challenges, and so.
Where you were able to form connection with people? You have traveled a lot of places. So, is there any place you specifically connection, where you formed a special connection with people?
It's hard to say, you know, the easiest connection is probably with people who are from Israel.
Okay.
But then, at least this time around, I'm more open, and like I have a new, very close friend who's an American who lives next door to where I live, and I really love her, and I love having her as my friend and neighbor. So I don't have any specific, you know, answer to that.
So, has the adventure changed the way you see yourself?
I think it made me stronger, or made me believe in myself more, but things change all the time, you know. So, yeah, between 40 and 60, it really. I dropped my. Wait. Okay. So,
Yeah.
so I think between the, you know, for the last 20 years or so, these hobbies, or these what you call adventurous hobbies, gave me a lot of, well, first of all, a lot of pleasure, a lot of happiness, and a lot of feeling that I was able to achieve something, I guess.
What's your in your bucket list? What's on your next or in your bucket?
Next. I don't have anything specific. I would really, really like to go back to India and to the Himalayas, to Nepal. But I would also, I told my husband like that this summer I'm hoping to do a nice trek here in the United States somewhere. We'll see. Last place we were was the Teton Mountains, and we spent a few days there, and it was really beautiful as well.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
See you.
Way to go!